right, 6:30, we'll start the meeting.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so we have, amend the agenda to add 30-day extension to file grand list. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Nope.
All right, do we have a motion to
Make a
adopt?
motion we accept it as written, or as adopted.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything on the meeting minutes of April 19th?
Nope, they were good.
We signing those at the end? All right, town manager's report?
Okay. Wastewater and Highway replaced the fire hydrant on Plains Road. The old hydrant was installed in 1972 and did not have a breakaway, which if a car hits it, it would not break away. And like the movies, it would shoot water all over the place. And they'll be finishing site work up after it stops raining. Highway Department's been working on Humphrey Road to replace a culvert. The project was funded with a Better Roads grant, and that's all done. Met with V-Trans last Tuesday, the district office, to inspect the deteriorating sidewalks in the village. I have submitted an 1111 permit with V-Trans, and now they want to perform another site visit, which is going to happen this coming Monday at 10:30. So that'll be with the folks from Montpelier and safety, and I think one of their big things is they're worried about how we're going to do traffic control, but we've kind of got that covered. So they have a list of questions and requirements that need to be addressed. I did talk with Butch quite lengthy about this, so we're hoping when they come and look, they'll just say fix these.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did tell them that we have pavers scheduled for the end of June, and if we delay that, we might not see them till October. Ann and Jen and the guys have been cleaning out sorting files in the basement and getting rid of the ones that we don't have to retain, and so far we've sent 92 boxes to the shredder. So the guys built some more shelving down there this week, and they're cleaning up a lot. It's good. We found a lot of neat stuff. Some things that were kind of helpful in putting some pieces together, but it's good. There's a lot of stuff we just don't need to keep anymore. So it's a good purge. I was going to be doing some drainage work at the rec park. There's an area between the bathhouse and the pavilion that's constantly wet, and it's starting to drain into the play area that's covered in the wood chips. So Chad and I went and looked at it. We're thinking the best issue is to do some under drain pipe and fabric and stone to properly drain it away from the area. It's a lot of clay up there too, so it's really slippery. So, but we figured we can do that in house. Wastewater last week spent some time removing grease buildup at Depot Hill Pump Station, but unfortunately there was a ton of syringes in it that they found during cleaning. So that was.
You're flush then? Lovely.
So yeah, and there's a bunch of things that Anna put in here too. One is we got on what to do if you find a needle for Green Up Day. And we've got just the bid results here for paving. I think we talked about that last week. So those are just the letters that went out and the contract with Pike. So Green Up Day stuff that they send to us every year. And then the other thing I just wanted to add in, next Tuesday, we're actually hosting a meeting at the fire station called Regulator Roundtable that's with Rutland Regional. It's another foreman's meeting. They're trying to do a series of these right now. So it's to go over current permitting, and Josh Carvajal will be there for rivers, and Kyle Madash for floodplain, Angela from U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and Zapata from wetland permitting. So we're doing that Tuesday from 12 to noon, so it'll be good. We're doing it.
So why?
There's these foreman's meetings that the towns used to do pre-COVID, that they'd kind of go around to different towns and just for some trainings and have lunch and
Just make sure they're what to do if they work in a wetland. Is that more what this is?
Yeah, pretty much, or just for permitting for us if we need to put culverts in, or doing hydrological studies for culvert sizing. Things like that, and who to call when we're working on that stuff. So, yeah, we had one actually today on the municipal roads general permitting process, because they're changing some of their website stuff on that. So Chad and I went to that this morning, and they got 3 or 4 more coming up, kind of all at once. I think they're in just anticipation of summer construction, so,
Okay.
yeah. So that's really all actually, just a couple one other thing that I was looking into that there'll be more to come. Inquired with USDA on the possibility of us looking at starting a revolving loan fund. They actually have a grant program that will, I think it's 50,000 now that I've looked at it, would help us start, and there's like a match that we could put into it. The grant deadline for the spring already passed, so the next time is, I think November, we can apply for it. But looking at some of these things that we want to do for economic development, especially in the, the Route 7 corridor, or anywhere in town for that matter, that'd be helpful, to have some money in there.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It's interest free to us, it's a good form of grant, has to be used though. And we can actually charge interest for it when we loan it out. And we're also looking at, we unearthed an older tax stabilization policy that might not be a bad tool to have to go forward with any development, and that would work for residential or commercial as well, kind of based on how much folks spend and what the stabilization would be. So those will be coming at you guys. We got some time on this, but just see what it entails, and I think it'd be a good tool to have in us for economic development. So
Yeah.
that's all I have.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Any select board member remarks?
I have two, just some comments from some citizens. There's some questions asking about the truck route bridge. I don't know where that is in the progress with the state being addressed. I had people ask, so I want to bring it up again, that maybe at the next meeting, we just get updated.
So I can give you a little update now. Chad and I talked about it a few weeks ago, because we have the reserved fund for that bridge. And so he reached out to Daniels, who's kind of the bridge contractor, and they're trying to set a date to come do some inspections on it. We looked at the bridge inspection that the state did last year, and it wasn't bad, but there were some things that we should address for maintenance. So we're hoping to get Daniels out here pretty soon to get an estimate for that.
All right, just let us know when he's going to do
Yeah,
that.
sure,
Just to see
yeah.
that. And the second one was, we passed something on getting the speed signs for the top of the hill from the mobile. I was wondering, has that moved along, or did that get stalled through all of our changes? Are you aware of that at all?
Speed signs on
Yeah,
the top of the hill.
blinking electrical.
Both ends of town.
Like at the bottom of Franklin Street.
It's the first I've heard about it, that there was something to move forward with.
Yeah, no,
that was.
Oh, no,
There
that's-
it had been applied for.
Yeah, that's
I'm
already
wondering
been
if it
applied
just
for.
got, I thought it had been applied for.
Was it a grant or something?
Right, because it was Brenda
Well,
filed
I think
that,
you have to
right?
get permission from the state,
We
because.
definitely have to do that.
I think we got permission from the state, if I recall that.
I don't know where we are in the process.
Right.
So I was wondering if you could look into it.
Absolutely.
And see if we can get that moved along.
Was that something the town can do, or the state does it
We-
with our request?
We were doing it,
But
but
we needed
Guess
their-
we had to have state permission,
Right.
and we requested both ends of the village, north
So
and
in-
south.
Like in the 35 going into the 25?
Right, so that we slow it down, just like what
Yep.
you got coming into Brandon.
Something for the top of that hill.
Top of the hill, then
I
coming up the hill.
completely forgot we
Certainly
even
look
had.
into it. Yeah, I
applied for
had-
that,
that's the
or-
That was a meeting we,
Okay.
it was probably back in January.
It
I
was.
know, it was a
Yeah.
I
while.
just want to make sure that got resurfaced.
Please don't put it at the bottom of the hill like they did in Brandon.
No.
No.
That's the dumbest of ideas.
No, that was kind of
We've
stupid.
already decided to put it at the top.
There's actually a reason for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because that's where the 25, it gives you the opportunity to coast up the hill while you're getting into the 25 to slow down. So
the one
setting,
thing is though, when you're coming down that first hill by the water department, that thing's flashing at you, slow down, slow
because
down.
you're going from a 50 to a 40 to a 35 to a 25.
Right.
So, yeah,
You don't pay attention to it till you get to it. That's
yeah,
the trick.
yeah, but,
Well, I mean, usually by the time I get to it is when I actually hit the speed limit.
But
yeah. Then it says
the
thank
idea.
you if you do.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, right?
I'm sure
Yeah.
they appreciate that.
But anyway, if we could check into
Yes,
that,
But
'cause I-
then there's the hill
I
to
think
go
we
up
did.
again.
I think we did the paperwork for the state, but
Okay.
it got stalled out.
I think so,
Yeah.
Well, I
yeah.
can certainly ask Monday on that too.
Please.
It's funny because I met with the district office last week and I didn't hear anything about it, so.
I'd
look.
I'd forgotten about it till you mentioned it,
Yeah,
to be honest with
that's
you.
all I have, Alicia.
Okay.
So that might not be a bad thing though, if just so I know. So you want to do them like in the 35 just before the 25 speed limit?
No, we wanna do it at
No.
the top of the hill when it changes to 35.
Right.
On 7th, so it's.
The new
so
part of the road, where
south-
they've already done the new part of the
So you
road,
want them to flash 35 or,
Yeah, we want it up top of the
35.
hill.
okay.
That's what we're concerned about, not going
Right.
from
So where,
35 to 25.
where down here?
50 to 35.
Or up here?
coming up the hill just as you're coming into the village.
Okay.
Just before you hit Plains Road.
Cause I'll have them
Through there
take a look
somewhere.
at it while we're here. I
Yeah.
mean, we might as well.
The state probably will have some input in that, won't they?
Well, we already asked
Oh, I'm
for
sure they
permission.
will.
I
Yeah.
think we
We
already
already
got
did,
it.
yeah, I thought we already had
thought we did,
permission.
but-
We already went through that.
I
steps.
haven't heard anything about a permit being filed for
I-
that, so I will definitely take a
Kelly,
look.
can you check the minutes on that sometime?
It's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes.
I know it was
is.
stated that it was filed.
I will look into that.
I'm pretty
Great.
sure.
I think you're right. Thank you.
I know those signs are good. It's probably gonna be about $7,000 for those signs if we go with the solar route, which, well, they had just, it's funny, I just got a thing in the mail like 2 weeks ago. They're having some special, so.
We were gonna use ARPA money for it, right?
Definitely
Am I right?
What was that?
We were gonna use ARPA money
I
for
mean,
those.
yeah, we still have,
It was ARPA
yep.
money.
We already made that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right,
Gee.
absolutely.
All right.
You don't have to do it tonight, Kelly.
Yeah.
I can look it up. I can look them up too. That's fine.
Yeah, it was
But-
discussed.
You're thinking January though?
I don't know.
In that time frame somewhere.
Yeah. That sounds about right now that we're
Might
talking
have been a little
about it.
before that, too.
Could have been.
So I don't, since I lost my agenda and I had my notes in it, I was just gonna remind everybody that Green Up Day is Saturday and you could get bags here and drop them off full. And is it 10 to 2 though? Cause I don't have my notes. Do you know by any chance?
He just had the,
Isn't there a handout in here?
Yeah, it's not on that, cause that's like a generic like Green Up
I
Day
think it is.
Vermont.
I think it's 10
don't,
to
but I
2.
think it's 10 to 2 here,
think
so.
you're
I had some stuff hanging up
Yeah.
there too for it, so.
And
Yeah, and
then,
therell be a dumpster here.
Yeah,
yep,
the- usually
yep, and there's
dumpster out
food,
front.
yep. John
It's supposed
Keith
to be
usually has
sunny, too.
food. I know, the weather is
Yeah.
supposed to finally break. And then Sunday, don't forget, is that Crown Point Road, marker dedication at 1 o'clock at the Willistown Farm.
I won't be here. I'm gonna miss it.
Oh, that's
I
right,
wanted
you're
to go,
leaving,
yeah.
but I
I'll be
know,
out of town.
yeah, okay, I'm just, yeah, between the, Crown Point Road Association, Daughters of the American Revolution, and our Historical Society, I know they're all hoping for a
Yeah.
good turnout.
I planned on going, but
1 PM?
Yes.
Yep, on Sunday. All right, is that it for select board comments? Any public comment?
On anything?
anything.
Anything?
Good evening, folks. My name is Larry Marcia-Garrier. This is my wife, Mary, and we live at 837 Furnace Road. And we are here to hopefully have you help us stop the solar project that's going on behind our property in the meadow. The meadow that in question is a deer yard, a winter deer yard. And that stretch of water was fished by President Eisenhower back when they dedicated the fish farm to him. This land, from we see, stretches all the way out back to Oxbow. And myself and 2 other residents of town have filed for petition to help fight this problem. And we're looking for support. And we're hopefully that maybe that the selectmen and select people, persons will be able to direct the planning commission to develop a plan that will deter, if not now, in the future, this kind of thing. This land is agricultural land. It's beautiful agricultural land. And it's not, and there is so many other pieces of property in the state of Vermont that can take that this can go. There is a gravel pit behind my house, on the other side of the house, that would be a perfect area for this, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know the details of it, something like that. But having a industrial business come off of they're not even on the corridor, they're off in the agricultural part, putting in this project. These are going to be 18 to 20 foot tall panels that are going to be seen, that are be down in a wetland. I mean, this used to be called the 100-year floodplain. For some reason, it got changed over the years. But now, if you went out there today, you make sure you get your boots on because it's wet out there. And they're going to be putting in 6 foot deep pilings in order to support these humongous panels that are going to be such an eyesore, especially coming around the corner by the rec park, where the Davenport house is, it was. The Davenport house, our house, the house across the street just before the rec park, and the house on the corner of Route 7 are all for sale. Our house was for sale. And we had a signed document for the sale. But once they found out about the solar project, it terminated the project. I lost over $500,000 sale because of that project. There are wildlife in there. We have had bears, deer, and any kind of flying object that you want to think over there. And the waterways that wrap around the wetlands that is our property on that side of the street fall into that. For me to figure out how they possibly can think they can do this is beyond my imagination. And I know that the wetland problem is not your issue. I know that the wildlife problem is not your issue. But I do hope that somebody will help us, at least direct the planning board to come up, or commission, to come up with an idea of a little more detail of what can go where.
Yep.
I mean, the Green Initiative for the state of Vermont is for private, not for a 3.5 megahertz project. I mean, we have solar panels. It's a great way to go. But to put in 18 acres of 10,000, let me repeat that, 10,000 solar panels are gonna flood across that whole pasture, all the way back to Oxbow. And the aesthetics there is all I have to, I'm allowed to complain about. But is the sale of my home, is the valuation of my homes, and the valuation of all our other people. I'm surprised, well, since Rebecca Davenport passed away, there is nobody there to fight for her battle, but her backyard is only gonna see 10,000 solar panels. I wish there was something that the board can do to help us.
If I may
Please.
add, I think that it's if you direct or task the planning commission to find some sites that would be appropriate for solar. I mean, because we like solar, like I said, we have it on the roof of our house, but it shouldn't displace another good thing, which is agriculture. And the Mazzaronis had a beaver farm there, and it was active. So it's not like it's a farm that wasn't active. There are plenty of places where solar could go that perhaps the planning commission could look at. There is gravel pits that aren't used anymore. Gosh, in Rutland County, there's a whole big shopping plaza that's empty, and
Right.
no one can see, and it's all paved. So it seems to me that one good thing should not displace another good thing. And I think that as a planning commission, their job is to figure out what kind of character does this town want to be? I mean, how do we attract people to the town? Do we attack it with a lot of industry? Well, if that's what folks look for, that's fine. But this is right next to the village. And if you just take a ride by the state police area there, and you look down that road, it's beautiful. You get such a calm feeling. And yes, it is aesthetics. And the other side of it is, yes, there's a devaluation of property. And we were heartbroken with our sale. We moved our stuff out. We were ready to go. We wanted to stay in Pittsford, but our kids, one's in Oregon, one's in New Jersey, so we had to sell the house. But we were looking forward to spending our retirement here. And when we had a sale that of a person who was going to caretake our historic home and fix the things that we couldn't fix, we were tickled. And then when we had to disclose after we came back from the south that this was happening, they immediately sent us a cancellation letter. And like Larry said, that's horrible. And there are 4 other homes for sale that I know of on Furnace Road. There's one right next to the rec department. There's Rebecca's estate, Rebecca Davenport, and then there's another one on the corner there. And I would bet dollars to donuts that they're gonna have a hard time selling their house for the price that other people are getting for the same type of house
Yeah.
somewhere else. And to me, it's up to the select board to task the planning commission to develop a plan for the character of this town and how Pittsford wants to see itself. And if you can keep solar in it, great, put it in the proper space. Or have not a 3.5 megawatt, this is a gigantic industrial operation.
You have to have the project be in a residential or commercial, rural area.
Farming.
Just off of the industrial corridor that we've developed. Why were they allowed to do that? Because the town doesn't have a plan for it. The town did not have something that would actually work for the, to make everybody work out correctly. We have an industrial corridor, why isn't it going over there?
Yeah, you want to respond?
Yeah, this is state driven, it's not town driven. That's
Oh, I understand.
the biggest
Oh, I
thing there.
understand. Yeah, I'm
It's-
just looking for help.
Well,
Have you filed for party status?
Yes,
Good,
we do
good.
have.
So, and we have as well, the town has as well, and we did at our last meeting, ask the planning commission to start coming up with a solar plan.
That's
So we
important.
have taken that step, so.
Because at least the state may have a policy that says yes. The policy said yes, to put it in towns, but a discrete project, not a 3.5
Yeah,
megawatt
oh,
project.
agreed.
That's
Which
not
is,
discrete.
which is
No.
being built not by Vermonters,
No.
for Vermonters.
Right,
Pittsburgh's families aren't getting use out of this solar
Mhm.
project. They are selling it to GMP, who is loaded with renewable energies, and they are selling their renewable energy out of state. So really, is this project needed? Or at least to the extent
Right.
that this project is. They could make panels that are lower. When you think of 18 feet high, that's almost 2 stories high.
Alicia,
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify something. We asked that question at the meet, that was this gonna be sold in-state or out-of-state? And they said it was gonna be sold in-state.
In-state.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
let me
for
tell you,
Stowe,
that
wasn't it Stowe?
GMP has so much renewable energy, they're selling it out of state.
Yeah,
They can say energy is kind of fungible. They
Well, it's like
can
the
say,
credits,
right?
"I
It's not the-
sold hydro
The credit goes to
out
We did
Stowe.
ask that
state."
question. I remember asking the question or
Pro?
having somebody.
I think so.
And they could probably sell it in-state, they'll sell it to Green Mountain.
Yeah.
And Green Mountain will turn around and shovel it out of the state.
They can say they're keeping it, but you don't know what energy it
Mhm.
actually is.
There's no
It's
net metering coming off of this array at all.
And it isn't a Vermont company, so, I mean, that's another concern.
And I don't think there's and they say they're gonna benefit the town by bringing people in to our restaurants we don't have any restaurants.
Well, I mean, but it would be for such a short period of time that it
Yeah.
wouldn't be
Wouldn't matter.
worth it.
And the discounts the state allows them on taxes is not gonna help the town at
No.
all.
Not at
That's
all.
where it should.
They're exempt from school taxes forever. And everybody doesn't realize that.
Wow.
That's one of the things here, and they get a 66% evaluation forever
So
on that for
when
the next
that
25 years.
happens-
It doesn't help the town at
No,
all.
it doesn't. It's gonna hurt everybody else, because somebody else is gonna have to come up with that
Right.
offsetting money.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there's, was it 3 members of PUC that
Yep.
make this decision? The way the state has set this up, it's pretty much 3 people that have this call. And that's the unfortunate part of this whole state mandated situation. Those 3 members really,
Yeah.
that and cell towers, really, no one has a word on anything except for them, which is really not the way it should be.
But at least in this way, the town can preserve some of its character by writing its own future to some extent.
Oh, yeah, we've,
Agreed,
Yeah.
we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page.
I mean, we wouldn't, if planning and admin commission had done this before, we wouldn't be sitting here with you with sad faces and no money in our pocket.
It's true.
So I do have, I have I printed a copy of the PUC website today for the order they granted us for the motion to intervene. And it does have, we talked about it earlier today too. So we're limited to project-related impacts within the town itself or what we can basically argue on.
Mm-hmm.
The Marzic barriers are aesthetics. That's what, that's what so they, actually, if you read the motion, it's not unfavorable to us, but I think we should stay on top of it and maybe get some questions together. I do have a copy of this planning commission minutes, and I think there was some confusion that somehow they think I am going to do the preferred solar siting, which it's really a task that the planning commission should do. And then the last sentence says, this item was postponed for further discussion at a subsequent meeting. So, I did speak to Barbara Noyes Pulling today when I was down at RPC, and she is willing to, work with us from July 1 to look at doing some preferred siting or even an energy plan that, I think there's 4 sentences in our town plan on it, so.
There should be a lot more detail.
But,
Agreed.
but we could, the town could design it.
I'm sorry.
That's the town could craft this so it's more geared towards the town, that it's not, based on state or regional, that the town would rather see, like, I just know from another one I did, it can't be seen from certain roadways, or, there's definitely, favorable to do it in gravel pits and, or salvage yards, or, just the whole visibility side of it. And that works. Then it does have some teeth when things like this happen and town says, whoa, this really isn't in our plan.
Yep.
So, but we gotta have it there in order to.
There are only 2 other parties that are involved, the Delaney's and the Carreras,
Yep, okay.
that are abutted. But it doesn't count all the people who are across the streets, who are not actually abutted, who look down at that venue. All the people up on
Up in
Arch
Adams?
Street, no, actually.
Adams.
Go to up.
Yeah.
Goes Hill.
Adams.
They look down on it, that's all they're gonna see.
I know.
And they don't have any word say here, because they're not abutted. People across the street, trying to sell that house right across the street from the entrance, they don't have anything to say.
I know.
So it's just sad that we have to be in this predicament, and we want to make sure if there's anything the select board can do in our favor to help us beat this battle, we would appreciate it.
Yep. Okay.
Because you're all gonna drive by that road. I know you all drive
Oh,
by that
yeah.
road. Everybody drives by that road, and they're gonna look down by Rebecca's
I
house.
know.
And they're gonna be disappointed at that view.
View.
Think of almost 2 stories of 17 acres full of glass.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's not even one of the lower ones like down at the hospital, that are at least flat and.
Yeah.
And you really have, if it's fenced in and you've
You
got a
don't
lot
see
of.
it.
Like the ones by it's like, they're gonna be like the ones by the new dollar store, behind there.
So if I could comment on the energy plan, because I was involved with writing the town plan then on the committee. What they had for us on it that the Rutland Regional produced, we found unacceptable because it was huge and it had all these sites all over the town labeled for it, and we didn't think they were all good. So we wouldn't adopt their idea because there were so many sites that we thought were just not close to what we could use.
Well, should
And that's,
limited to the industrial corridor?
well, ideally, that's probably what it should be, yeah. But when we put that together, that was one of the contentions we had when they want us to use their stuff and their stuff only. We didn't think that was right for the town. So we tried to put in some lines that included some things on aesthetics and things like that, but we didn't get very blunt because we didn't want to follow their diagram, because we didn't think it fit Pittsford. And I agree the times now where we do have to get something in place. And I think that's prime agricultural soil.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the state's gonna go with it, because on prime ag, it's another story.
Well, they said, we read something about them digging up the soil,
They're gonna
Stockpiling
they'll
it.
stockpile
and then
it.
they'll put it in the stuff, and then 30 years later, they're gonna put the soil back.
But isn't that only where the road
I
is?
mean, I've been a
I thought they were
science teacher.
pile driving everything.
30
No, they're
years.
displacing-
I don't see how that is feasible or.
I know.
They're displacing 49,000 square feet of soil in the making of this. And that's, because that's where all the piles are going. They've measured everything they're doing, which equals a little over an acre of disturbance that they're gonna put in a pile somewhere and save it. It's.
Wasn't that where the road was going in, that dirt they were gonna
That
save?
too. I mean, anything where the wires go, but that was a statement they made that I read. And I think one of our concerns, which was my main concern, is there were soil people there. And they were asked if they wanted to go down and look at the site, and the soil people said, no, I don't need to go down and look at that. I have never heard a soil person say that. Of course, the soil person had their attorney with them too from the state, so I mean, it was, but the soil thing is, and that, I don't know about the water table under there, how that's gonna work with a
I
6
know.
foot.
We have
Yeah.
one more state.
Right now, you couldn't walk out there without boots right now.
Well,
And they're gonna dig down 6 feet to put their pilings in?
I'm not sure how
They're
that,
below the creek level.
I'm not sure how that'll work, so I think I think the jury's probably still out in the soil.
Well, we had our soil across the street from the house, which is we call the wetlands area, the swamp. It's been like that since we bought it. We're only the second people out of the family the first people out of the family to live there, so it's kind of a caretaking thing. So it's always wildlife for us. So, in the process of trying to figure out what my girls were doing, we thought, oh, maybe we could put a house on the other side and it'd still be around, that'll
Yeah.
be good. So we had somebody come down and they dug down, what was it?
6 feet, and at 4 feet they were getting water.
And that's on the
That was
upper
on the
level.
top. That was
That's not
right
going
level with Furnace
down
Road.
into the swamp part, so.
So I
Yeah.
believe that's Sudbury soil, and I have the soil map for this with me. And if you look on it, dwellings with basements, it's listed as severe wetness. So if you're going down 6 feet, you're starting to get to that. That's why I'm saying, I don't know if this is really gonna fly when it comes to the soil, so there is something to watch on this. But that Sudbury soil is a prime ag, but it can get wet underneath, you know, and that's just, this is a state book, so.
Right, right.
So in the letter that I sent to the PUC back in, well, it first arrived in March, and for some reason, they couldn't find it. But they do have, so the one thing the things they stated was concerns the project site for this array will be installed on prime ag soils, is partially within the river corridor and has delineated wetlands. And it's also visible from the roadway and many of the residences surrounding the site. So, they're letting us still challenge that, which is good.
They have a buffer of 180 feet up to that creek over there. But again, digging down 6 feet, putting a piling, you're below the creek level.
Yeah,
That's where the water's gonna go.
Yep.
So, it's hard for us to sit here and say we lost over $500,000 in a sale, and not sound a little greedy, but what I'm just hoping that the select board would do, help us out and at least direct, like we said, the planning commission. to do
Yep.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're not against solar, it just has to be
Mhm.
discreet,
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
proper site.
Yep.
For sure.
Thank you for
Thank
hearing.
you.
Yeah,
for your time.
thank you.
Yeah, Thank you.
The wildlife impact study or anything? 'Cause
Well, yeah,
we
'cause
were
I guess-
talking about there's lots of
Bears.
wildlife
Oh,
over
yeah,
there.
it's a
so I
wildlife
mean,
corridor.
I'm surprised
Yeah, it really
Greenpeace
is.
ain't out there going, hey, whoa, you
You know
can't do
that-
this.
It's been designated as a winter deer yard by the wildlife commission. It's been,
Yeah.
we've had bears running across there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's quite the.
Deers.
Oh, they've got
Deer
they've
everywhere.
got the breaks in the fence so that animals can walk through. It's not really very thorough. Would you be interested in this?
My own cars sit there.
I made a copy
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
I
What'd
sold
you
it.
have?
32 Model B. I still have it.
When we moved in there was a green pickup truck in one of the stalls. It was the most beautiful Model A pickup truck.
They listed the soil there as, it's not hydraulic, it's very
One
close
guy-
to it.
Well, let's list these on the map.
And he was
Look at the types of
using
soil.
the story.
Yes, if it's your extra.
Yeah, I copied
Their
it on
tools.
my book.
They had a 64 DeSoto
Yeah.
that they gave to the caretaker, the nurse, the
Yes.
nurse.
It was a brown fish. I know it well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's good ag land there.
It is.
Probably put a screen of cedar or something in front of it to hide it.
Yeah.
The Hitchcock family forever.
All right.
Thank you.
No, you're fine. Did you have public comment?
No, not really.
Okay. I thought you'd raise your hand before they started speaking. Okay.
Actually, I did, but it.
All right. If it comes back to you, let me
Can you help
know.
us a little with the ATV ordinance we can work on a minute, right?
Thank you again.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
can do that.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
You as well,
Thanks, folks.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good night.
All right. So yeah, next on the agenda, ATV ordinance, which we did take out that sentence.
So, yeah, Ann went through this again. There were just a couple things I think that she had talked to Mark about too that
So the one that was changed was section 3, part C. And Joe, you brought it up, right?
Yeah.
Within the town, whether they're in motion or rest, and that's been scratched out.
Okay, cool.
And the other one that was removed was in section 7.
Yep.
And what was eliminated was where ATV travel on town highways and sidewalks is permitted. That is scratched out. And put in was where ATV travel is crossing public highways. Which, those are both, that enters your concern, right? About the in motion or not, or at rest?
It wasn't really a concern, more of a confusion, you know, how you operate a vehicle if it's not going anywhere other than starting the engine and revving it.
No, you brought up a legitimate point. You brought up
You know, and if I can't start my bike when I'm working on it, then that kind of poses a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, so I think that was all we had to
Yeah.
entertain,
That was
correct?
it, I think.
That was it.
So do you want to make a motion for those changes, and then we'll actually take the red lines out of it?
I'll make a motion to institute these changes for this regulation.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll clean it up and sign it at the next meeting?
Yep, sounds good. All right, and then personnel policy.
So, it's great that it was approved after the second time we brought it, but I knew there'd be a couple changes, and not big ones. I mean, some of them were just making sure that stuff from like the union contract had come over that were, you know, kind of basic. So like Sean and Chad and Tyler had looked at it all, and there weren't many. I should have, Mark and I were just going over it. So under section 20, was the holiday pay for if they're, you know, for the, that was just needed to be clarified a little more. And that's in red on the bottom of section 20. And then on section 25.
21, right, too, you changed those numbers to the correct.
Oh, yeah,
numbers on
right,
the
right,
vacation
underneath,
leave.
yep. So on 21, yeah, the numbers were off by 1 digit, so we just fixed those.
25.
They all, it's kind of funny, they came out all the same on the end, but, and then on section 25 for short-term family leave, the town of Pittsford would provide for 1 week of paid parental leave for birth or adoption.
And that was the addition
Yeah.
to the union contract.
Right, yes,
Yep.
that's what we added to it.
That was it from the original. And then Ann and I are gonna come up with, the sheet still of all the bennies and everything that changes annually, and we'll put, I think in one of the sections it says there'll be an attachment for it. Because it'll probably have to get updated every year anyway as
Oh, okay.
things change, so just easier to do that than changing the whole policy every time.
Yep.
Need a
Motion on that? or no?
Please.
I'll make a motion we adopt it as corrected.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Right. Highway access policy and form. So it's just the form changing?
Yeah, we talked to Chad about this one too, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. You need that one, Mark? You got it? It's kind of
It's here
buried.
somewhere. I
It's
got buried in
it's
somewhere.
actually right there, the
See
last
it?
page,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
There's more
Yeah.
space for
There
signing.
it is, yeah.
We like to write big. So, and that's all that is.
Okay,
I mean, it should be, you know, highway foreman should be the one involved with it anyway, so.
Okay.
sure.
If you guys are okay with that, we should probably do a motion for that.
Okay.
Motion for the changes in the highway access policy.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, any questions on the orders?
Yupper.
Yep.
Okay.
Joe and I would like a little more description on $5,200 worth of backhoe tires.
That's what they cost.
But they changed all 4 tires,
I
or?
believe so.
That's part
And
of
I
it.
think they were budgeted too. They had them in the budget for last year, so that's,
One question I had was, did they make a couple of phone calls, check prices anywhere?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'd like to
let's
think
do.
that doesn't take very long.
I know tires are insanely expensive for equipment now, so,
We have 5 big loaders that are bigger tires than that, so. I know
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
yeah, I can look and see what Chad did for getting quotes, but I know we've been calling around for them,
Two
so.
other questions that Joe and I were talking about is, how old is that backhoe? It's not that old, is it?
No.
I don't know, I'd have to look and see what
how
it
many
is.
hours do we have on it?
Can
because,
check.
you know, that, I'm a little concerned about why we're replacing those so quickly.
Yeah.
That's not that old, that's no, I
Well, of
don't
course-
think that's within 5 years, isn't
You
it?
gotta think with a backhoe, you can drive out everywhere you wanna go and not trailer it. So it's gonna take a little more wear and tear on the tires just because of that right off the
And I
bat.
run tractors on the road too,
Yeah.
so yeah, I understand, but I don't think it's, my tractor's 30 years old.
And they're probably
so-
using it every day, you know, it's out a lot.
Well, that's
so-
what I'm wondering, how many hours do we have
Yeah,
on it? and how
I
old
can
it is,
look at
just
that.
'cause
Yeah.
It seems like that's a newer hull.
It is a newer one. That's that, is it Jayco or something, it's not an off-brand too,
JCB,
right?
isn't
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not that old.
I didn't think it was that old, so just take a look how many hours we got out of the set of tires.
Sure.
I think that's more of my thoughts
Yep.
than the age so much, but.
Yeah, I can ask them, they could have gotten beat up somehow too, I
Well,
don't
I'm
know,
just
but I'll
wondering,
take a
'cause it
look on
seems
that.
quick.
Yeah. I would suggest, like, when we budget, we should probably look at replacing, you know, a certain amount of truck tires and equipment tires every year anyway. Because they are pricey now, and if we start putting them on graders and things, it gets,
They're insanely expensive.
it's crazy expensive.
That's why we're asking the questions.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
I've asked this question before, and we really don't have a good answer, so maybe some time in the future at a meeting. Can you give me a real description of the Green Maple LLC solar expense, that's $16.80 every month, what it really is, and why we're paying it?
So I'm gonna
'Cause I've
try,
not
I'm
got
gonna
a good
try to do it off the
explanation.
cuff here because of being part of one of those net metering things before. And maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, cause maybe Tom knows too. So,
No,
so
I can remember it.
the town buys solar from one of, is it the array on Kendall Hill, I think?
Chester.
Chester.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
Oh,
here.
that's
So it's
right,
not here.
that's
So-
right.
So,
Ours comes from Chester.
so the town, I think they made a deal to buy a certain percentage of solar for the town utilities
Right.
at a
Schools,
different
town
rate
office, all- yeah.
than what we would buy when we get a bill. So then that is applied.
Less?
Well, I'd have to look at the contract. I'm sure it is, or the town wouldn't have signed off on it. So so that thing's producing a certain, like, so I think it's probably set up to be a certain percentage of the total output of the array. So, you know, it's better than having just a certain amount of our bills, because when the sun's shining, we're saving more money. So like 15% of the total output of what, I'm just using
So
that
is
as a
that true?
number.
So is that really true that we're really saving on this?
Yeah. If you looked at,
I know John checked into it before. We were,
It's
Yeah.
reconciled annually.
yeah, and actually, if you look at, well, it's in here. If you look at
we're making money on the last I know.
the list of the accounts, and it shows like how many are zeroed out every month, it's actually saving the town a good chunk of change.
Pretty sure, John, we checked that a couple times.
The only thing is you can't do it on our streetlights.
Right. Well,
But,
that's because that's for CV, that's
Yeah.
a different.
But
deal.
no, so you're basically you're pre-buying the power at a discounted price, and it's offsetting your cost with Green Mountain Power. So Green Mountain goes through and looks at all your invoices and sort of allocates where your solar could be used to the biggest advantage. I'm sure probably the wastewater plant probably has one of the bigger allocations to it. So that's basically what you're doing, is you're buying this to offset your Green Mountain Power invoice. Did I hit it pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You did.
Mark's still not sure.
I'll show it. Well, so Mark,
Contrary to what you said, because we just got solar, so it's like a new toy for us. We actually have had days where we produced more with clouds than sun.
Huh.
So,
Yeah.
just because it's sunny out doesn't mean you're necessarily producing more
like,
energy.
here's the electric
For whatever
bills.
goofball reason, because,
So,
they send you a statement.
We paid nothing on,
Cloudy days, and we've had a few that we
it
produced
shows the
more
generation,
Interesting.
shows what we used. So that offsets our annual bills. So there's Plains
Yeah.
Road,
You got a couple inches of ice on them.
so then it breaks it down and
Yeah,
it shows.
I get the whole thought process, but.
Yeah, snow and ice kind of.
I'd have to look at the contract. I couldn't
That's
tell
kinda
you.
what I'm-
It might say it on here,
If you
actually.
could tell me some point.
But overall, it works.
Yeah,
It's on there every month and I agree to it, but I don't understand it, so.
It's been a long time too, hasn't it, Tom?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the
If
contract.
you
I
could,
can't tell.
just
it from
sometime,
here.
if
Yeah.
next meeting is fine.
It's, it would have been something that I think John negotiated back,
Well,
way
it's like
back when.
something-
I've asked
At least.
Mills 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I have no idea, so. That's
But
why
it does save the town a good chunk of change on it. I mean, some of our bills are $0.
it's supposed to, I'm just asking
Yeah.
the question. 'cause I don't-
And then they do a true up at the end of the year
They
too.
do,
when
yeah.
I think we got like $700 or something this year. Maybe does that sound right? I mean, some years it could cost us, but
I think we made money every year so far.
yeah, it's
Well, maybe the first year because it was only a partial.
Right, it wasn't a full year.
But it
it
wasn't.
doesn't hurt for every now and then to ask them to look
Oh,
at
heck no.
reallocating to see if things have changed. So, but yeah, but
I know
let me-
ours comes from Chester.
Let me see if I can find that solar
At least
contract,
make me
Mark.
feel better that I prove it all the
Sure.
time. and I
Yeah,
don't know what it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Productivity goes down with age on that stuff too.
All right, do we have any other questions on the orders?
That's all I have.
Nope.
Okay. All right, 30-day extension of file grand list.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And if there's nothing else, that ends the open part of our meeting.